and I do my celebratory. I remembered to hit record. Go me. Well, you know what? Like some of these run like multiple hours. Like I've got one that went at like 2.5, 3 hours, and I
Oh
would
my
just feel really awful if like I forgot.
To
Like,
record it,
oh,
yeah.
hey, remember that great conversation we had?
Let's do it again.
Yes, yes, exactly. So hello, welcome to Stephen Has Questions. I've got three total left to do. So this and then two more, and then I'm done for this season.
How
But
many have you done?
by the time I'm done with it, it'll be 30 something.
Wow.
I
Okay.
was shooting to do
Cool.
25 but cool things just kept popping up.
Yeah.
Um, so as I've been remembering to tag into the beginning of these so I don't have to edit it in, as with anybody who does podcasts and stuff, they're also doing it to promote their own shit.
Of course.
So I will
Yes.
be inserting commercials for my stuff like in the midst of this and tag it at the end.
Okay.
Try and keep them short. Hopefully they won't be too annoying. Hopefully you'll find something cool. If not, oh well, hey, you know what? We got kittens, so that's cool.
We got
We
kittens.
got
Wait, is this going to
kittens.
go on Imgur? Is Imgur going to see my face?
I will definitely be posting about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Well, it is what it is.
yeah, no, you look great. You look fine. Don't worry about it.
Thanks.
You're good. You're good. You're
Okay.
beautiful, baby. No, you're fine. Look, like I have no room to like.
No, you look
Oh,
fantastic.
oh well,
You
thank
look
you.
fantastic.
Um, it's just part of the uniform. So I became aware of Kate here, who has a name now.
I do.
Because so I've always been a fan of this Imager image sharing site, and but lately, because of all the horror in the world, I had to spend less time on Facebook
Oh
because
God, yeah.
too much bullshit there. So I went into my phone and I actually replaced the Facebook app with the Imager app. So habitually, I don't do that when I'm just sitting around on,
Good.
killing time. And I would see her post come up. So we're going to start this one just slightly differently by talking a little bit about what she does. Um, and it was under the name Kittens for Days. And you
Kittens for
know,
days.
in this world, kittens are a really great thing to see all the time.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
for sure.
so, but I'll do the standard question just to stay informed. So when you were younger, what was the first thing that really hooked you? Something that like held on to your attention for more, you wanted to know everything about.
So you sent me this question, and
Mhm.
I had to think about it because I moved every year or two growing up. So I never really was able to kind of like become really into anything because everywhere we moved was so different. But
Mhm.
so I thought back, and I have like a very addictive personality. So what I would do is I would find an actor and I would become obsessed with him, and I would watch all of his movies and all of his interviews and all of his TV shows. And then, 3 or 4 months in, I'd get sick of it and move on to someone else. So that was kind of like what I did but this was like pre Netflix, pre
Mhm.
Hulu. This was when you literally Netflix, like you ordered a
Yeah, they
DVD
said
and
here
it showed
CD.
up 2 days later.
Mhm.
So yeah, and half the time it was the wrong DVD and it was very frustrating. But then I will say that when I was like 15, I got really into boy bands. I saw NSYNC like 14 times in 8 different states and
That's
like
impressive. Yeah,
stalked them around the country. So
my wife is a fan. And which I think is very funny since and it definitely throws people off since we'll go out on tour and playing like industrial and goth clubs and all that stuff, and then like
yeah.
we've God, one time we were rolled in somewhere and they were like, "Hey, you want any music while you're loading in?" And Donna and one of the other bands were like, "Yeah, in sync," and they were like, "What?" Like, "Oh." So you know what? Honestly, like have a genuine appreciation for pop music. I think Lady Gaga is amazing.
Sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, as a song, even just purely from a songwriting standpoint, anybody who can write a song that is catchy and that hooks you, I think it's an incredible. Hooks are not my friends, so
Yeah.
if I do nail them, it's always just as much a surprise to me as it is to.
Well, yeah, and you know who I'm so sorry to cut you, but like you said
Yeah,
something like, who I don't want to like, but I really do like is Taylor Swift.
Taylor, you know what? Yeah,
You say
yeah,
songwriting, and I'm like, she
yep.
could write a freaking song.
She absolutely. Taylor Swift, Katy Perry. Hell, I did a cover. I've never put it out, but I did a cover of Hot and Cold just because it's that cool a song.
I
Um,
love that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and no, like, and then like The Weekend. fucking great shit.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that stuff that's really cool, and I really enjoy it. Gaga still just amazes the hell out. Like everything she touches is just.
Isn't she coming out with new stuff
She's
like
got a new
soon?
record. Actually, it's funny because she's got a new record. It's actually apparently very influenced by the cesspool that I swim in. You know,
Which
the
is what?
industrial goth thing. So
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't heard it,
Gotcha.
but so I have been told. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but I mean, I think I know people who knew her when she was younger, and she was always into this kind of stuff anyway. So like I know she's a friend of a fan of a friend's band. So that's kind of neat.
Oh, cool.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so how did you get into so you are a foster for kittens and
So it's really interesting because um so I would say in 2014, the shelter in our city put out an APB. They said, listen, we have an outbreak of parvo with our dogs. And we have to clear the shelter. We have to clean the air ducts. We have to, disinfect all the surfaces. Can the community come together and foster dogs for 2 weeks? And I called my mom and I was like, Mom, like, let's do it. So like I went to the shelter and I picked up a dog named Penny. She was a pit bull mix. And I brought her home and I kept her for 2 weeks. And she was the best dog ever. And she got along with my cats. I had Thomas and Charlie at the time. And when I dropped her off, she got adopted right away. Like someone was in the lobby and they saw her and they were like, we want her. So I had this amazing experience with fostering dogs. And I talked to the woman behind the counter and I was like, I feel like I'm more of a cat person. Do you guys like foster cats? And she was like, let me tell you, we do. And I was like, score. And so like it all started with a dog. It all started with Penny, and it has bled into probably 500 kittens over the past 11 years. Yeah. But it all started with a dog. So I didn't know fostering was a thing. I mean, it didn't occur to me,
yeah, yeah, no,
but
I've
it
got
is.
friends who like work in that world and worked with shelters and stuff like that, so I've seen it around. But yeah, like I'm allergic to cats, so up until
Mm.
we very recently lost our hairless cat Sophie. We had
Mm.
for 18 years, which was a damn good
That's a
run,
long time.
specifically a
That's
hairless
a good
cat.
run. Yeah.
And but like she was, we don't have kids, so she definitely filled that kind of niche. So that's been very,
Yeah.
very, very
What
different.
color was she?
Gray, very gray. Just yeah,
Just solid gray.
just
Yellow
solid
eyes.
gray, and had one of the biggest personalities I've ever. I know, like I said, I don't have much experience with cats, but I've been around them a little bit, and she was just. It's just very funny, the whole thing about how the owners and the pets come to, are.
Yeah.
She was very much my wife's cat.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
so, but so 11 years is crazy. Like, how long do you keep each litter?
Litter, yeah.
Yeah.
So it all depends on their weight. So when I worked at the Huntsville Animal Services, they like to wait until they're about 2.5 pounds, because that's when they're big enough to handle the anesthesia to be fixed, spayed
Mhm.
and neutered. Um, I have moved over to the Huntsville Humane Society now, and they like to wait until they're about 3 pounds. And to be fair, like there were a couple of times kittens that I had, um, I took them back when they were like 2.2 pounds, and I had three kittens that actually passed away from the anesthesia.
Right.
So I am much more comfortable now waiting for 3 pounds
Yeah.
and making sure that when I go to pick them up, they're going to be there. So if I get kittens that are like a month old, I might have them for 6 weeks.
Mhm.
I have a pregnant mama right now, and she's gonna pop any day now, and I'll probably end up having them for about 3 months. Um, but yeah, people ask that a lot. It really just matters how much they weigh. As soon
Mhm.
as they weigh enough to handle the anesthesia, then they are ready to be fixed and put up for adoption.
So do they, the answer is probably both, but do they basically go, here's a pregnant cat? Or do they also go, here's a whole bunch of kittens?
Yeah.
How does it arrive? How's the
The
distribution
answer
work?
is yes. So yeah. So we're coming into kitten season right now. Usually over the winter, December, January, February timeframe, any kind of stray cat or kitten, it's very cold. It's very unrelenting weather, and
Right.
they don't always make it.
Mhm.
So come springtime, come March and April, the kittens that may not have survived a month ago are now surviving. And so usually around the first or second week of March is when the kitten season starts. And so like I said, I was working at the shelter, and I would usually get different litters, maybe two or three different litters of different ages, and keep them in my kitten room. But now that I'm working at the Humane Society, I told them, I was like, hey, if if I get a choice, I would love a pregnant mama cat. They are so much fun. And to be there for the birth, like that is the coolest thing in the world. And they happened to call me. They were like, hey, someone's bringing in a pregnant mama cat. And I was like, I will be there immediately. Like, let me show up and pick her up. And so, actually, I missed out on another mama cat. Like they emailed me instead of texting me, and I didn't check my email for 3 days. And when I finally checked it, I called them and I was like, "Oh my god, yes, I can take her." And he was like, "No, we already found someone." And I was like so bummed. But the cat distribution system is it's
Always more.
working. It is. There's always more kittens, and so now I have this amazing calico, affectionate, loving mama cat, and I am just so blessed. And I can't wait to see her kittens. So yeah.
So what happens with the mamas after that? Like they've done the kittens and you've got them out, then where does mom go? Or does she go back to the shelter? Or you just hold on to her, or
Yeah, so I wait until like with mama cats, I usually keep them when they've given birth in my room. I'm not gonna lie, I become a little more attached to them. So
or
I may keep them a little longer than I usually would for like a regular cat. Um, but around 6 weeks, honestly, mamas are sick of it. They're over it. Their nipples are sore and they don't want to be bit and they don't want to be nursed on, and they're like, get me the hell out of here. So yeah, so the mamas go back to either the shelter or the Humane Society. They get put up for adoption. This is probably my like ninth or 10th mama cat, and I always keep track. I check in every day, and the longest any mama cat I've ever had that waited in the shelter was 5 days.
oh wow.
So they usually get adopted within a week. So yeah, and I mean, I don't know. You see her? Do you see how precious she is? She's so
Yeah.
beautiful. She is going to get snapped up, and she is
Mhm.
so affectionate and cute. So yeah, mamas get put up for adoption just like their kittens do.
That like that's so cool to hear. Like it's you hear all these horror stories about
Yeah.
animals sitting in shelters and stuff like that. Um, so that's good.
Yeah,
Um,
the longest one of my kittens has ever waited was 2 weeks, but I checked in every day, and it's because it was black, and a lot of people, there's the
uh,
stigma about
I've
black
heard about
dogs,
yeah, I
black
hear about
cats.
that. I guess I think just within the circles that I operate in and the people that I know, I think that would be such a bizarre. Like it would never have occurred to me, and I think that many of them probably see it as a bonus. But I don't know, man. Like,
Yeah, my very favorite. Well, I can't say it was my favorite. One of my most favorite cats of all time was Jon Snow, and he was black. And he had the biggest ears. They were like satellite ears, and he had the
mhm.
longest whiskers, and he just loved to be held like a baby. And I took him back to the shelter to drop him off, and a couple literally saw me pull him out of the carrier to put them in the cage, and they said, "We want him." And I was like, "Okay, cool."
That's
And
awesome.
so, but you hear about black dogs, black cats take forever to get adopted, but some of my favorite cats have been black. I don't understand.
It's almost as if it's irrelevant to their thing. They're just
Yeah,
personality based.
right.
So you said 11 years you've been doing this?
Yeah, 2014.
So I imagine at this point you are. I'm sure you still feel attached to them, but you are past. You've kind of got some sort of internal architecture from getting too attached and having the foster fail thing. That's
Yeah,
the term I think.
foster fail. So yeah, like I said, I've had probably 500 kittens, cats, mamas, babies, come through my doors, and I have only ever kept two. I've kept,
That's
yeah,
lovely.
I had, like I said, I mentioned earlier, I had Thomas and Charlie, and they both passed away in 2020.
Hmm.
And I happened to have a pregnant calico mama cat, much like this one. And she, one night, I'd already taken my nighttime medicine. I was in my pajamas. I was ready to go to bed. And she crawls into my lap and she gives birth to Madison and Scooty Booty. And
Goody Booty. I know the name. Yeah.
Scooty Booty. Yeah. So they just happened to be they happened to show up at the right time. And I always thought I was going to get another orange cat, right? In my opinion, orange cats are best cats. And I'm sorry to every other cat out there, but my favorite cats have been orange.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I'm definitely going to get another orange cat. And then 1 month turned into 2, turned into 3, turned into 4. And then one day I was like, I can't get rid of them. Like, these are my cats now.
Right.
So to answer your question, yes. So that was the only kind of foster fail situation. I am very, very good at giving cats back. Like it.
I should hope so. Otherwise,
you have to be, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to be at this point. There's been a dozen, maybe 15, 20 cats that have given me pause. And I've been like, oh my God, I am really going to miss this cat.
Mm-hmm.
But usually by the time they're ready to go back, they are destructive. Mm-hmm. They are climbing my legs. They are destroying my kitten room. They are teenagers and I am ready for them to go. So, and I know that there's always going to be more kittens waiting for me.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's the number one thing that people say to me. They're like, how do you ever give them up? Like sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes I let them out of the kitten room to, sleep with me in bed or like hang out with me during the workday. And I love them. I get close to them and they're like, I could never give them back. Right. And I'm like, Scooty Booty is special needs and she's going to cost me a lot of money over the next 10, 15 years. And so I think having that in the back of my mind is kind of like, I can't bring another cat in here. And I think about like the 5-year-old girl who is looking for her best friend, or like the 65-year-old couple who needs a buddy, or, like the single woman who needs companionship. And I'm like, okay, so this kitten is going to be that for them. And it's easy-ish to give them back at that point.
So you've built, you've got actually, I guess one other statement. So this is not a for profit or anything. It's basically you just do this because it's what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. I just love it. It makes me happy.
That was actually kind of one of the things I was thinking about when I set this up, because I was thinking, oh, this would be a cool way to like try and let people know that if they have stuff, if they have extra whatever food, whatever you guys it'll make it a little more real, which I think. So hopefully something will come up out of that, and maybe people will be able to hook you up.
Well, no, I have been like incredibly blessed because with Imgur, people ask me all the time, what can I give you? And most of the time it's like nothing, like I don't need anything. But, sometimes I get a litter of, I get a couple of litters. I have 12 kittens in the kitten room. They're eating all the food. They're going through all the litter. And so I do, like someone messaged me, I don't know, like 5 years ago, they were like, hey, I want to support you. Do you have an Amazon wish list? And I was like, no, I really don't. But like I threw one together and I was like, okay, here it is. And they bought it out. Like if I don't understand like how I got to be so blessed that if I have a need, it usually gets filled. And that makes me feel really guilty. It makes me feel like a bad person, kind of, that like I ask for things and then I get them and I'm kind of like, but like, why? Like I do this. I always say that I foster. It's totally selfish. Like I do this for me. I don't do it for the cats. You know what I mean? Like I do it because I love it. But I've been so blessed that, people want to help out. And so I'm very, very particular about what I ask for. I'm very, very specific because I do not want to take advantage of anyone ever. And so you mentioned kind of like monetization a little bit. Hey, mama. But so about, I don't know, like 6-8 months ago, someone messaged me on Imgur and they were like, hey, there's a person on YouTube who's going by Kittens for
Yeah.
Days, and
Hmm.
they're posting all your videos and they're saying, this is my Scooty Booty. This is my,
Right.
like Jasmine. And so I freaked out and, reported them, and a lot of people reported them. And then, do you know Tiny Octopus? He's
I know the name. Yeah. I mean, like,
Okay, yeah. So he reached out and he was like, "Hey, I used to be like a social media manager for people. Like, can I help you?" And I was like, "I don't want to make money off of it. I don't want to monetize, but I want to protect the name. I don't want someone pretending to be me."
right. Yeah.
So I started a YouTube channel, and I think I'm on Instagram too. Like, this
Mhm.
is very very much above my it's not my ken at all,
Mhm.
but I just didn't want someone pretending to be me. So eventually he's like, eventually, like, if you have enough videos on YouTube, like, you could monetize this. And I'm like, but the money, I would just give it to the shelter. Like, I would give it to the Humane Society, because I'm not in this for the
There's
cash.
nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's one of those things. Like, I think it's, that's kind of one of the cool things is that you can have a selfish motivation. So I have to do, I make a living. Majority of my income, in addition to the music stuff, is painting.
Oh,
And
cool.
I've had to, yeah, like I do book covers, but I do a lot of like my day-to-day income comes from just doing artwork and then selling it.
That
Um,
is really cool. I love that.
it's the only thing I know how to do. Do all this like make stuff is just kind of what I
Yeah.
do. But like you do have to learn a certain amount of social engineering to survive doing it because I have had to go to people and be like, look, basically kind of like this is a thing I want to do. You have money. I don't. I want to make this thing. You can
Yeah.
let me explain to you how that can work, and
Yeah.
I tend to be very, very, very blunt about it. It's always like if I'm sending an email, it's like by the end of this email, I'm going to be asking you for money. Here's,
Yeah.
because I hate the idea of trying of manipulating somebody or
Exactly.
right.
So do you
But
feel like, between you and me, do you ever feel guilty like asking for money for the things that you do?
no,
Really? Because
oh,
that's how you make money.
no, because I low emotional affect. But also I have I first let me put this disclaimer. I do not suggest anybody try and make a living doing what I do the way I do it.
Okay.
Not easy at all. And I've been doing it since I was a kid. And like I have built, I was like, just talking to somebody about this the other day. I was like, I have built my life to be kind of a creation engine. Like
Yeah.
my friend commented on it. He was like, because I've written like 6 records in the last 4 months. Because
Wow.
when I get stressed, that's what I just make stuff, and I've been
Okay.
very stressed.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, well, there's that. There's a post-it note that sits right here that goes, "You're dying," and so like it. I feel that if I don't constantly do that because it's what I do, but also if I don't do it as much as I can, it's like so many people have helped me along the way. Like so many people
Yeah.
said, "Hey, what you're doing matters." And I would be it would be weirdly disrespectful to that. So these people that have been like put their time and their money and their into kind of like my mother getting me through art school, whatever. But like
Yeah.
all of the things like that, or the bands that helped us along the way. It's like I'm a big believer in knowledge wanting to be free, and so I do everything I can to kind of get all that out there as much as I can.
Yeah.
So I feel that this is what I do. I'm as transparent as possible about why I want to do these things, and I always will work with people. I just had some mastering done, and I was like, right now we're poor. I can send you a painting, So I try and do a lot of that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so I would feel guilty if I didn't think that I was
Yes.
reciprocating what I'm asking for. Um,
Yeah.
but I hate the idea of not doing that. So I
Yeah.
like really and like, and we've got product. I've got books. I've got CDs. We got all this stuff. So there's a lot of like, here, let me give you this. You give me that, and then we can make this thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think sometimes that if I do end up, I'm so bad about posting on YouTube. Like, Imgur is like my home. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
that's where I started. Those are my people. Like, Imgur is my people. And so I'm really bad about posting on YouTube. But People are like, eventually, like if it does become monetized, then what I can do is I can donate, whatever I can to the Humane Society, but then
Mhm.
also use that money to buy the things
Right.
that are on my wish list. Because,
Mhm.
like I said, I feel guilty about
Right.
sharing my wish list. Like I just
It does
like,
close that circuit for you if you're
yeah, exactly.
and
So I,
getting
I would never need to ask anyone for anything
Mhm.
ever again.
Right.
So that would be cool. So yeah, I understand what you mean. Yeah.
So you work from home then?
Oh, that's a hot topic. I did. I used to
Mhm.
telework. I worked
Oh
for the
yeah.
government, the federal
Uh,
government,
mhm.
worked for the army.
Mhm.
And what, like a month ago, 5 weeks ago, we got the return to in-person work order. So I can no longer telework. And it has really put a crimp in my style. You know what I
Oh,
mean? Like and then this is the first, is this the first? I think this is the first foster cat I've had since I had to go back to the office. And so yesterday I ran to Lowe's and I bought a Ring camera and I set
mhm.
it up in the room because I was terrified that I was going to miss the birth. And
Mhm.
so I'm checking that consistently. And to make matters worse, I work in a secret open storage facility. So we're not allowed to have our cell phones with us. So we have to
Mhm.
lock them up.
Right.
So I run downstairs and check it like every couple of hours and just checking to see how she is. But to answer your question, yes, I used to telework and I loved it, and
Mhm.
it gives everyone the freedom to, do a load of laundry or like run out and grab something over lunch break. But
Yeah,
now
it
I'm in the
allows you to be a
office.
person. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, allows you to be a person
Mhm.
exactly. And now I'm in the office from 8 o'clock until 4:30, and I don't know. I say
You
this,
need to
but
explain to them the important work that you're doing. You know,
interestingly enough, my supervisor does not care about kittens. So,
that's unfortunate. See, this
yeah,
is what's wrong with the country. This is why we're falling
yeah,
apart.
this is not good. Yeah, but no, I do. I love my boss. I love the people I work with, but not being here. And my favorite part of the day is that I had my laptop in my lap, sitting on my couch, and Scooty Booty would crawl under the laptop, and her little butt would poke out all day long, and I could just like grab it and shake it,
Right.
and she, because it's toasty warm, right, like under the laptop, and she would just lay there all day, and it was just so much fun and so comforting and wonderful, and I miss that a lot. So yeah, whatever.
Sorry for bringing up a sore subject. Um,
Yeah, how dare you?
I'm the worst. It's true.
How dare you?
I'm trash. Um,
But you work from home. I'm guessing you're an artist,
yeah.
right?
I mean, I've been again, this is one of those places where it's just like I don't recommend people do it unless you've kind of put your entire life getting into like because like I was saying we live in the middle of nowhere because it keeps our cost of living down. And
Gotcha.
because of where we are, though, from a touring perspective, it's great because like we can be in New York in 4 hours, we can be in Atlanta in 8 or 12 or whatever, and
Yeah.
Chicago in 10. So it allowed us when we were first starting off to just go and do that stuff. Now we just go on tour and it's not as much of a thing. But
Yeah.
but yeah, and uh, it's good because my wife got all fucked up because of Lyme disease, and so she isn't able to work because of it. Yeah,
Oh
she
no.
Lyme disease, which she already had an autoimmune issue. She got the Lyme disease, which turned into fibromyalgia, which turned into a bunch of other shit. So,
Mm, that's
it's
hard. Oh my
it's
God.
well, she's an author, and so she was a novelist and published that stuff. She forgot how to write
Oh
and
my God.
and as a musician forgot how to play piano, like something she had been doing since she was a kid. So yeah,
Wow.
it was really shitty, and but she has since she just kind of changed things, which was very cool. Like she went from writing novels to writing poetry, which is a lot easier for her to kind of do, and so she's doing
Okay.
well with that. Like she's been nominated for a few Stoker Awards, and
Wow.
yeah, like she horror poetry. Donna Lynch, if you look her up, she's fantastic. And then we've done a number of a number of different things together where I'll do a bunch of illustrations and I give it a title, and then I'll hand them off to her, and she'll write something based on those, and then we put
I
them.
love that.
It,
That is
it's
so
it's a
cool.
lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. And then she's also the singer for our main band, which we've had for 25 years, called Ego Likeness.
You get to be creative all day long.
It's a real double-edged sword, but yeah, like most of it, a lot of it's figuring out how to like if you only work it, if you do only do what you love, then you never work a day. That's bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like I do a lot of pet portraits actually, and one of the it's like I don't necessarily have an attachment to the pet, but it makes me really happy to do them for somebody, or I can enjoy
Okay.
the process of doing it. Lately, I've been very lucky because I've been getting lots of gigs doing just because I started letting people know I could. People's pets as historical figures. My favorite one was their dog is Vlad the Impaler.
Oh my God.
The whole like
I
the
love
time
that.
period was Cossack kind of outfit on.
So you
Or
could do like Scooty Booty as Joan of Arc or
yeah,
something like
yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah, no, I love doing that kind of stuff. Or I do a lot of production work I've written music for NASA, and I've done some other bits and pieces here. And I got to work with Alan Parsons, so that was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, through a
Amazing.
really circuitous route, I ended up getting this gig. But this isn't about me. This isn't about me.
I'm
Uh,
sorry. No, this is
no,
very
no, it's
interesting though.
fine. I mean, it's nice. It's always nice to be asked, and it's kind of cool because since the Imgur people will see, it's kind of like I said, part of this is letting people know. But
Yeah.
um, so you've got your house is built for this. I mean, maybe not specifically, but you have built it. You have the kitten room, which I guess
Yeah.
can
I,
you show us the kitten room?
oh God, it's a mess right now.
It's got kittens in it.
Yeah. Okay. So there's the closet, right, with all the food. I'm trying to look. So that's the cat tree. I'm just gonna go very slowly.
Mhm.
So we've got that's my new Ring camera that I bought. That's the medicine cabinet with all of the fluids and medicines, all my cleaning supplies, a couple of cat trees. There's a fridge over there for medicine. Obviously, the litter boxes are disgusting. I apologize. Mama
Oh,
she's a very prolific pooper. Um, all different kinds of litters that we could have for kittens, and then like the little toy bins right there. Yeah, it's so it's funny because when I built the kitten room, it was supposed to be for a baby. Like
right.
my
Yeah.
whole plan was to have a baby, and so I ripped the carpet out and I pulled all the staples out and I sanded it and I stained it. And then it took weeks and weeks of getting the floors ready and then painted the walls and like got like the closet system set up. And then I got pregnant in 2017. And then a few months in I had a miscarriage and it just like I mean obviously it was devastating, like no one wants that to happen
Right,
obviously,
right.
but I had to get off of certain medications. So I'm bipolar
Mhm.
and have ADHD and OCD, and I
Mm.
had to yeah. So I met with my psychiatrist, my primary care doctor, my OB, met with all of them, and I was like, hey, can I continue to take these medications
Mhm.
while I'm pregnant? And they were like, yeah. So then I get pregnant and I went in to see my psychiatrist and she was like, no, you can't take Adderall. Like Adderall affects the brain.
Right,
Do you want it to affect your baby's brain?
right.
And I was like, oh my God. And they were like, Lexapro, no, you can't take that. So I got off of all those medications for
Right.
a few weeks and it was terrible.
Yeah,
I mean, holy shit, right? Like,
yeah.
so I had the miscarriage and I thought kind of in a way it was in a way, and this may sound
Mhm.
terrible, in a way it was a blessing because I could never imagine going 9 months without my medications and then having a child. You know what I mean? So yeah, I will never forgive my doctor for all that she put me through. But so all of
Mhm.
a sudden I had this room that was shiny and clean and like there's no carpet anywhere for fleas or ringworm to live in, and everything is like the walls are painted and there's brand new fresh lights and things. And then I was like, I could probably just make it a kitten room, right? Like I could probably just keep kittens in here forever. So that is how the kitten room came about. And yeah, and like I said earlier, I usually do not let kittens out of the kitten room. There's just with Scooty and Maddie, there's too many diseases that could pass back and forth. Plus, I don't want to terrorize my cats, right? Like I don't want them.
There's another one.
There's another. Like I would say recently, I let pumpkin pie and jasmine out of the kitten room. And those were the only two in the past year or so. Um, but I will say that this mama is a little escape artist, and she has escaped twice and has chased Madison down the stairs, screaming and clawing and growling. And I had to chase after them and, pick her up and bring her back upstairs and throw her back in the kitten room. So she's going to be the death of me. But yeah, so that's the kitten room story. I usually try to keep all the mamas and the babies in here, as long as I can.
Mhm. So,
Yeah,
so currently you only have this mama. Is that
I
the
do.
case? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's the only one I got. And I took her, my best friend, Bestie, and I took her to the vet to get an x-ray, and she's got five for sure and maybe six kittens in there.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, I'm so obsessed because have you ever seen animals giving birth, like cats,
No, no,
dogs?
no.
Oh, it's so
Although,
disgusting.
no, actually, I've seen pandas giving birth, and that's just funny.
Wait, tell me about the pandas.
Oh, well, probably saw it on Imgur, but it was just a video, and like it's just sitting there, and all of a sudden, it's just like literally the thing shoots out, and it's just like, oh, how about that? And then like a few minutes later, another one just shoots out, and
Oh no.
like it just doesn't. It's just kind of like, huh, how about that? There's a
It is
there's
not like
another
that
one.
with cats. It is
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
that.
So
No, because
tell us about how it is.
yeah, so it's so gross. So like obviously there's like a gush of fluids, and then a kitten in a sack emerges, right? And it's squirming around, whatever. So the mom uses her teeth and rips open the sack and gets it off of the kitten and licks their chest to get them to start breathing,
Mhm.
right? So they do that. Then they give birth to the placenta. No, placenta. Is that the right word? Is it the
Yeah,
placenta? Yeah,
which
yeah, yeah,
attacks the
placenta.
attack. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And then once the mamas are sure that the kitten is alive and well, they eat everything.
Mhm.
They It's so gross. I had a cat one time that had nine kittens, and I was like, "You must be so full. Like,
Right.
how do you have more room in your belly for
Well, I guess
placentas?"
no more kittens in the belly, so.
Yeah, I guess she had plenty of room, but
Mhm.
yeah, because like I guess in the wild they don't want to leave evidence of
Mhm.
innocent, precious little babies for
Right.
predators, and so they eat all of it.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it's super gross. But yeah, it's for some reason it's one of my favorite things. So
Well, it's just it's an amazing thing. Totally unrelated to that. Real quick though, my wife's bipolar, my mother's bipolar.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's talk about
I'm
that.
autistic, and well, no, I just wanted to kind of say, good on you for sticking with it and staying on the meds
Oh
after
yeah,
trying to go off them and stuff because that can fuck
yeah.
you up so bad. Um, and part of the reason that we decided not to have kids was because, well, first of all, we just kind of decided we were too selfish. But
There's that. Yeah.
the idea of getting sick with a kid, because like when I mean, my wife is a saint for putting up with me because, like I said, this is what I do. And so I have this thing called going down the hole. It's like where if I'm really working on a project, it's like I may be there, but I am not there because I'm like deep into whatever this thing is that I'm
Yeah, absolutely.
the idea, and that's when it manifests in a good way. But like if you go off the meds or whatever, and you kind of just stop functioning at all, like the idea of doing that when you're a kid is terrifying.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it
so
was awful. It was 8 weeks of no medication.
ugh.
And you ask anyone, my parents, my friends, my brother, they were like, this is not good. Not
Did
good
you
at
have to
all.
just cut it completely, like just right off?
Yeah.
Oh, so you
And
weren't even able to taper it?
no, and that's the thing is that I asked them, like I
Yeah.
went to the doctor and I was like, "Can I do this?" And they very dismissively were like, "Yeah, yeah, of course." Then I get pregnant and they're like, "No, you can't." And I'm like, I'm a big proponent of like mental health
Right. Yeah.
discussions. People need to be able to talk about this, right? Like
Mhm.
this, I feel like it affects more people than it doesn't affect. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean? So
absolutely. Particularly, you know why? Apparently, it had to do a lot with lead in gas. while we were growing up. It's not as much of an issue. You're not seeing it as much.
Gotcha.
Why our generation has more of it. The component, and I don't know if this has been actually proven, but I know that there are theories that had to do with lead and gas from that one kind of specific time period hitting. That's why most of us in our age range have
Yeah.
an issue with it.
I literally could maybe say two people that I know that are my age that are not on some kind of mental health medication,
Mhm.
right? Lexapro, Seroquel, Lamictal, whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hadn't heard that. That's very interesting, but I believe it. I believe it because, like you said, I mean, so many people have it.
I wrote a song a bunch of years back called Identity by Diagnosis. And I had the chorus ended up being a running list of everything that we had been on. And if I can riff on it, I was like, I don't remember it.
No, but it's
There
like a
was
list of
this list of
medications,
like
right?
20 different names,
Yes, exactly.
and because it takes everybody's going to have to find, go on it for 3 months, ramp up, see how it works, and ramp back down. Yeah,
How old are you right now?
53.
And so, how long have you been on the right
I
concoction of
lucked out.
medications?
I lucked out.
Did you?
Yeah, I went on Adderall shortly after Donna and I got married, so about 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And and yeah, that one I'm on a huge dose of it. I take
Are you
90.
on 30? Oh, you
Yeah.
take 90 a day?
Mhm.
Oh my God, I'm at 60. I thought that was a lot.
Yeah, no, I take 90 and it's great. And I can function. And like I've been on that, like I actually just talked to my psychiatrist the other day. It was like I've been on that dose for years, like
Yeah,
it's fine. And I've gotten really good at kind of figuring out like how to do it depending on the situation. Because I also have a sleep disorder, and then we go on tour and everything.
same. Yeah,
And then I was on an antidepressant for a bunch of years, and I actually found out that I've been on less of it because I wasn't paying attention and accidentally dropped my dose down, which is good.
well, that was
Um,
my question. Have you ever asked to reduce the dose just to like
so
make sure you need that amount?
yeah, so at
Yeah.
one point I'm also on citalopram, and
Oh,
my doctor
okay.
calls up one time. He's like, "So right now you're on 60 milligrams, and there have been studies that people who take 60 milligrams of citalopram sometimes their heart just stops." And we were like, okay, well, let's not do that. Now, the shit part was that a bunch of years we were on tour, and I didn't get enough for the tour. And I was like, well, whatever, I'll just cut it in half and I'll just coast, which I can do with the Adderall and Red Bull.
Yes. Yeah.
But with that, that's when I learned that if I don't have enough citalopram, I have debilitating panic attacks.
Oh
Um,
no.
and so I had to go off of it down to 40. And then at one point I was like, I'm going to try and bring it down, I guess like a
Yeah.
year and a half ago. And that resulted in even going and titrating it lower and like just a little bit over weeks. It's still like and it was so annoying. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I was like, this is so stupid. I just had a panic attack because I can see my eyelash, or like just any
Yeah.
like I know that it's not logical, it is chemical, and it is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I know. I finally found the right combination about 10 years ago.
mhm.
And there's that part of me every year I'm like, "Hey, doctor, should we maybe try to like back off a little bit?" And I do and I'm like, "Nope, right back.
Yeah.
Let's go
Well, it's
right
good to
back."
know,
Yeah.
it's good to know how fucked up you are.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I've never been huge, and we've never had a hit within our scene or any other scene, but we have a really good loyal fan base, and uh, so in a very small corner of the world, I have people that listen to what I say, and one of the things that both myself and Donna have done a lot of is talking to online about this kind of thing because it's
Yeah.
just it's watching when you do see people that are sick or whatever, or when when if I get sick or if Donna gets sick, how bad it really is.
Yeah.
So anything that I can do to help that is just or normalize it or what. My mom's a nurse or was a nurse, and so I just have no trouble talking about those kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I deeply believe that as an artist, part of your job is to take things in, filter
talk
it
about those
back out.
things, right?
And
Yeah.
yeah, and that is a huge part of it. And like one of the things Donna talks about, she's like, I am not a good writer or whatever because of my problems. I am a good writer in spite of these problems because
Yes.
when I get sick, I lose years that I could be doing something I want to do, and
Yeah.
then I am on the couch crying, or
Yeah.
whatever other problem it is, so
Yeah.
like there's that whole romantic idea about like, hey, you've been a fucked up artist, and hey, doesn't it make you better? Like, no, no, it doesn't.
No,
It's
it
really,
fucking
really hard to
sucks.
be stable so I can make fucked
Yeah.
up shit.
It sucks really bad.
Mhm.
And
And
oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, okay.
No, so you hear I do have people in my life that are kind of like, well, why don't you just, just like be happy or like get over it. Don't stress, right?
Mhm.
And you talk about like if you had a broken leg, you would have a cast.
Mhm.
Like if you had a heart problem, you would take medication.
Exactly.
So why is the mental? Why is because it's invisible, right? Like
Right.
you can't see the problem in the brain. And people just they just don't understand. And but I feel like you said, I mean, a lot of people our age have these issues, right? And I
Mhm.
feel like it's becoming more commonplace. We can have these discussions
Right.
about things that, and they say, autism didn't exist like 50 years ago, right? No, they were just called peculiar. They were called,
Mhm.
special, and they were put in these classes that, it's just, yeah. This is not the point of the podcast,
No, no,
but I'm really glad we're talking about
it
it.
is actually to a degree because,
Yeah.
like I said, this thing is it's funny because I will often end up, we'll start talking about something and then end up on another thing, but part of the reason we end up on these things is because it is something we're passionate about, and that's the entire
Yes,
what this is.
exactly.
Like I had an author that he wrote a forward for a book that I did, and so we talked author stuff for a while. But in real life, he teaches history, and so we went for like an hour on like the state of the world and history and how he's talking about
Yeah.
students and things like that.
Yeah.
So like no, I think it's I mean, in addition to obviously, I think it's just incredibly important, but it is I mean, you're very popular on Imgur. If people see this, maybe they will, put two and two together or
Hope
whatever.
so.
And because
Yeah.
I'll tell you, just speaking from my experience with going on meds, I went on Adderall when I was like in my early 30s, and I remember at the time,
That's late. Oh my God.
well, it's funny because I got diagnosed with ADD in 1984 when it was still called minimal brain dysfunction.
Oh my God.
And I feel so awful for my mother who is like, here, your child's fucked up.
Yeah.
I was going to a school for kids with ADD and autism and stuff like that for about 3 years, which there were precious few of in the early 80s. But anyway, so I went on my meds and I was like, this is cool. I feel in control for the first time in my life. And the way I explain it is like, it gives me a little extra half second before I say something.
Yes.
Because for me, it's always like this Terminator menu that pops up and like, well, you can say this and you'll get punched, and you can say this and that and this and that, and this is where we
Exactly.
go with it.
Yes.
And I was like, so it's like cool, so I can choose to be an asshole. Awesome. Instead of just defaulting to that mode.
Yeah.
Because there's also the autistic part where it's like, I just want to tell people the truth. And it gives you, so another way to put it is it gives you a half second to think of a more eloquent way of saying,
Yeah.
hey, maybe, this thing.
You suck or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that was cool. And then I thought to myself, I wish I had done this sooner. And then I thought to myself, and this is the thing, this is the reason I'm talking about this. If you were, then my life bottomed out internally because I was like, if I had done this sooner, I wouldn't have hurt these people. I wouldn't have done this thing. And that sucks. That
Yeah.
was an awful experience because I it's like 12-step programs, if they work for people, that's cool. But one of the things about them that I do agree with is not atoning, being accountable for your actions. And so it was like
Yeah.
anytime I would run into somebody that I felt like, hey, my impulsivity or something, maybe I said something really rude or whatever because of poor impulse control. I went and I made it a point of trying to apologize to them and be like, look, I'm really, like owned it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I have. So the older you get, I feel like the harder it is to do that because you want to just coast on,
Yeah.
and you have to be accountable. And some part you probably know that. So like if you admit that you're a problem, then you have to admit that all these years and years of bad that you may have done were a problem, and that's heavy, and it was hard at 30.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing it, further and further up. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like if you're, and it makes things so much easier and better. It really does. Like,
we, we don't have to talk about that, but yeah.
but yeah, no, like
Yeah.
it's just nice to have those choices. Um, so have you ever had any more exotic breeds come through, or maybe with more exotic needs?
So, okay, so I have had kittens that have lost eyeballs. I have
Oh,
kittens that have lost limbs. I have had kittens with what's called cerebellar hypoplasia, which means that they look like they're drunk. They stumble
oh yeah,
around
yeah, yeah.
everywhere. I've had that. And then my cat, Scooty Booty, has what's called sacrocaudal dysgenesis, which means that the vertebrae going down her spine get closer and closer together. So
Mhm.
by the time you get to her legs, the messages from the brain don't reach it as well. So that's why she
Mm.
scoots. She
Oh,
kind of yeah, like she hops like a bunny, and she
yeah.
but I call her Scooty because when she gets really excited, she runs in a circle because her right leg is stronger than her left leg. So she just kind of like scoots around in like a little half circle. Like she gets really excited. So um, I almost was able to foster a hairless cat, but then someone at the shelter decided to just adopt her straight out because she was amazing. But they're a lot of work. Like you have to bathe hairless cats like at least once a week because the oils on their skin can
So
congeal and get disgusting.
yeah, they
Yeah.
can get a little fragrant.
Yeah. Fragrance is a good word. Yeah.
It's a weird
Um,
mix of like mushrooms and potatoes. It's very strange.
is that what it is? Oh no. Oh, sorry. I'm leaving. I have to leave the kitten room for a second. Um, yeah, but when I messaged the new foster coordinator at the shelter or at the Humane Society. Wait, hang on one second. My TV's
Mhm.
on for some reason. Hang on.
Yeah, yeah.
That just gave me. I was like, listen, I've seen it all. I've seen ringworm,
Hmm.
wolfworm, all the different things I've mentioned. Do you know about wolfworm, by the way? Have you ever
No,
heard of that?
no.
So it comes through, from what I remember, it comes through a mosquito.
Mm.
And they line up in the neck usually, and they grow into this worm, and then they poke a hole in the neck so they can breathe, and you can see them kind of like coming out of the
That's
neck,
horrible.
and you're supposed to like reach in with tweezers and pull them out.
Mm.
And you said horrible, right? That's the
Yeah,
right word. Yeah.
yeah.
So I've seen all kinds of different ailments, but and and people ask me, they're like, do they make you more affectionate towards them? Do they make you want to keep them more? And I'm like, no, not really. I mean, it's just like people, like you meet people with artificial limbs or, different kinds of disabilities, and they're just like a regular person, right?
Right, right.
So it's like that with the cats. I mean,
Hmm.
yeah, I did love Tom and Jerry. They had the cerebellar hypoplasia, and they were so drunk and they stumbled around everywhere. And I loved them very much, but it sounds terrible. But they knocked everything over. They knocked everything over, and it was just like, oh my god! Like it was cute for a while, but they actually ended up on a farm with like a bunch of
Yeah,
goats
yeah,
and
I've heard that
pigs.
story now. I've
Yes,
heard about the pets going to the farm now.
yes, no, but a real farm,
Okay. Mm.
not the farm.
Not the farm. Okay.
Not the farm, no. No, like a real farm. And they have all this area to run around in and like, just be themselves, and if they had stayed with me, they wouldn't have had as much fun. All right, hang on. I have to go back in the kitten room. Mama, she's my little escape artist. Okay.
One
All
of
right, I'm back.
the moments of within your posts where it took me a while to put together that you have themed lots, as it were, for all the names. And I
The
just thought that
names,
was
yeah.
so funny. Like when I finally caught on to it, I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's cool.
I've had like the most random, like I had days of the week. So
Hmm.
someone adopted a cat named Thursday, which
Hmm.
is just like a weird name. I had like, the pasta litter. I've had trees. Um, It's like, superheroes, like all kinds of stuff. And honestly, like naming them is like top three of my favorite parts of fostering, right? It's so much fun. And what's really interesting is that people on Imgur, everyone wants to say, everyone wants to like tell me what to name them. And it's so weird because, like 5, 6 years ago, that was me. Like that's a very personal kind of
Mhm.
thing is naming these kittens. But now everyone has all these opinions, and I'm like, oh my God, I feel the pressure to, like choose someone's, naming theme. And I kind of just don't want to sometimes.
Yeah, good. You should not let the faceless masses of
Yeah.
anywhere, out in the world, do that. But that being said, I have been pushing for years to have for my friends to name one of their cats Little Stephen Archer. So I'm just saying, um, yeah, my best friend, every Nathan, who gets talked about a lot on this thing, uh, periodically ends up with a new cat, and I'm like, Little Stephen Archer, come on,
Stephen Archer.
come on,
There you go.
you know.
But he never
Come on.
chooses it,
And
does he?
yeah, and he
No.
never chooses it. No, no.
No.
Currently they have Pippin. So that which was very good. But see, all of our cats' names end up like we had Sophie. So the Lady Tsarina Sophia, Batman von Bulow Esquire, because she was a lawyer, and
Oh, okay.
and Jack Burton Leviathan Crumb was our other hairless her brother who she hated with just absolute. We brought him home 6 months after we got her, thinking, hey, it'd be nice when you for a company. We brought her home, and we didn't know how to do the proper introduction things. We just kind of brought her home and plopped him down. And she'd
Yeah.
never seen this kind of reaction in anyone before. She just like did whatever a pentable take, and she just looked at him, looked at us, looked at him, looked at us, back and forth, backward, just with huge eyes, and then ran screaming out of the room. Like, I can't believe you brought him here. And it really, every once in a while, we would catch them canoodling, but
Yeah.
really rare. Like it was. And I think the problem with poor Jack is that he was far too intelligent. He had this big giant head, and I think it was full of brains, and he was bored. So he would watch him like I don't know, like look up at some shelves, and you could watch him figure out a path to get to it, and then he would execute the plan.
And he would do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like one time I was moving my mouse pointer around on my laptop and he looks at it, he tries to get it, and he stops and then he reaches behind it because he understood glass.
Oh my
Right?
God.
Yeah, yeah. So I genuinely like, and he had just a big dumb head. You mentioned pit bulls earlier. I
Yeah.
was thinking about that. It's like they're one of the only dogs I ever think about because they have these big dumb heads. I love them.
Blocky heads. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So
Well, and so like I said, naming kittens is very important to me.
mhm.
It's a very personal, it's a very it sounds stupid. It's like an emotional kind of thing because that is what I'm going to call them. That is going to be our relationship is what their name is. And
Because
so
they'll
when
get
I
a new name afterwards, like after they go off and they'll be renamed probably.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
So,
They're
so that's the
very
moment it's yours.
that makes them mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with Scooty and Maddie, their mom was named McKinley. She was a calico bobtail. And I was working with a now defunct kind of rescue organization.
Mhm.
And they were like, we would really love it if you would continue the presidential theme. And I was like, that's fine. You got all kinds of great names. And then, of course, there was only two kittens and they were both female. And I was like, oh my God. So the best I could do was Madison and then Reagan. That is what Scooty Booty's Christian name is Reagan. But ever since, like, when I take her to the vet, they're like, is this Scooty Booty? And I'm like, well, it's Reagan. They're like, no, it's Scooty Booty. Like, so I didn't have much say in their names, but yeah, so naming's important. It really
Mhm.
is. And I love Imager and I love sharing that kind of joy. I love sharing the joy of kittens. I really do because people like life sucks a lot of the
Mhm.
time, right? And sometimes all you want to do is just watch like a kitten being cute. And I'm so blessed that I get to provide that. And naming them is so much fun. And I am more than willing to like listen to people's ideas. But at the same time, it is still a very personal kind of thing. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
It's between me and the cat.
No,
And
that's really wonderful that you know that, and
yeah.
yeah.
And I have friends too. They're like, when are you gonna let me name the kittens? And I'm like, never. Like, is that an
That's the
appropriate
fun part.
answer?
You don't.
I will never let you.
Yep.
But I also understand that, like I was saying, that the kittens in the kitten room are beyond me at this point. Like Imgur is a family. It is a community of these like amazing people, and they bring me so much joy. And I don't want to be selfish when it comes to that kind of thing, because I'm so grateful to the messages and the comments and the pictures people send me, and I'm just so overly blessed with this feeling of community and love, and I
Mhm.
want to be able to share that with them, right? So it's this weird balance of like wanting to be selfish about it, wanting it to just be me and the kittens, versus like they're not just mine anymore. Like they are all of those people's,
Right.
So it's a weird little tightrope kind of to walk a little bit.
Hmm. No, it's actually not dissimilar to what our life is like actually, because we go out and go on tour, and when we're out and we're in the show, doing the show or whatever, it's like we made these things that kind of now belong to all these people, and they have
Yeah.
strong opinions about them that mean something to them.
Yes. It means something to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's amazing. But there's also a certain amount of, okay, we have a PO box. You don't need to know
Yeah.
the address. Like there,
Yeah.
things, or like, hey, we're eating. So can we like talk about this some other time when we're,
Sure.
doing this thing? So
Yeah.
learning to develop those boundaries is such a huge part of any
Yeah.
sort of weird public life, even if it is just kind of online with that, or doing what we do, it's
Yeah.
um yes. Um well, I don't know what I'm trying to think of, what other elements to
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like what
I
else
feel
I
like we've
could
done really good with
with
most
the
of
kittens. Like I've talked about like everything, I
it.
think. I
Yeah.
mean, and I have loved like talking to you about like mental health and things like that. That's very important to me. Yeah, no, I think that I'm really happy in the place that I'm at.
Mhm.
Um I like I said, I have these amazing people who follow me, who, message me and comment, and it make like I read every single one, and I'm just like I'm just like so blessed, and imposter syndrome a little bit. I have a little bit of the imposter syndrome. Like these people think, like they talk about me like I'm this saint, right? Like I'm this amazing person who does, I just bleed love everywhere. And I'm like, oh my God, no, like I do this because I love it, right?
Well, but you know what though? I mean, like it, it is clear how invested you are in this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like even just even down to like having these names and lots. I get
Yeah.
the practical reason for it, but also there's kind of a nice sense of commitment and desire to help these things that otherwise would not be, you wouldn't, they'd just be doing their thing.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And it's people who do stuff that you can't, like I think
Yeah.
there's a certain amount of that too. Like there are many people. I know I've had a very cool, actually my last interview was with a friend of mine who is a funeral director. And kind of when we got to the end of it, I was thinking about how amazing what she does actually is, because she has to be
Right.
there in these really hardcore times, and by be I mean be there in the moment with these people in this
Yes.
horrible
Yeah.
situation. And like I was just thinking, I was like, just thank you so much for doing that. I mean, like,
Yeah. It's massive.
right, exactly. And she was talking about like, but that's nothing compared to say like, look at hospice nurses who are like an entire other breed of people.
Yeah.
So I think that the people like that are superhero. Or one of the first ones I believe I did was with somebody from the CDC, and
Oh, okay.
it was very cool. But I was like, you guys are my heroes, man, because I grew up being very aware of all that shit, and
Yeah.
now there's a lot of reason to be aware of it. But
Yeah.
but I was like, that's amazing that you do these things, and so yeah, I think anytime I don't know. I'm a big fan of this idea of eulogizing the living, or writing fan mail or whatever, even if it's
Mhm.
just friends,
Yeah.
like just it's so fucking cool that people have made this thing that works for them.
Yeah.
And that's very, I think so many people feel trapped in their
Oh,
lives.
sure. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that's, if there was something like, and I mentioned it a little bit, I feel like people have put me on this pedestal a little bit. They've put me on this, like someone, what did they say? They were like, you're going to get to heaven and be in line for the pearly gates, and St. Peter is going to wave you in front. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I am not going to the front of the line. There's no way. Like, I, sure, like I save these kittens. I make sure they get a good home. Like, I just sometimes, again, imposter syndrome. I just feel like, oh my god, like I am not a saint by any means whatsoever. I mean, I love these kittens, and I give them the best life that I can, and I make sure that they go to good homes. But damn, like people, I just sometimes the things they say to me, I'm just like, thank you. I just don't feel worthy. I'm just like, thank you so much. Like, oh my god, like I just don't feel like I'm worthy.
it's also a weird position when that happens to you, like how to reciprocate that, because it's like
Yeah.
you've invested an awful lot into this thing that I have made, and that's
Yes.
amazing. And I really appreciate that, but it's so difficult to then reciprocate in a way beyond just thank you, that like I really get to
Exactly.
understand, like, yeah, wow, I really, that's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, the things they say make me feel so good. They make me feel so happy. And, a lot of my life, I have a lot of issues. I have a lot of familial issues. I have a lot of work issues. And the things they say, just, God, they bring a tear to my eye sometimes. And I feel like I don't deserve it. But, but I'm just so grateful to have it. I'm just so grateful that these people, but I'm most grateful is that I'm bringing them happiness. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? Like they tell me, they're like, I had a shit day and I got to watch that kitten,
mhm.
like, play with that toy. And I'm like, I'm so happy that that made you happy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so happy that, the last litter I had, like sweet potato casserole and butternut squash and pumpkin pie. And they watched them for months and months. And then sweet potato casserole got flown to Boston. She got, like someone paid $800 to fly her to Boston to like
Mhm.
adopt her. And then butternut squash got adopted right away. Pumpkin and Lizzie got adopted together. And like, I kind of want to turn all of the goodness people send me. I want to like turn towards the cats. I want to just be like, it's not me, it's them. Like they are the ones that are bringing you joy. They are the ones that are making you happy. Like I'm just kind of like a facilitator. So,
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because that's something I always try and explain about doing the stuff we do. I'm always like, I'm just the guy who makes the stuff. It's the stuff that's the important part. It's the art that's the important
yes.
part. I'm just like if my work makes you go, hey, I wonder what that guy's like, then I'm not doing my job. You should just be enjoying the thing for
Yes.
what it is, and then maybe later down the
Yeah.
road, sure, think about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'm lucky to be a vehicle for that.
The vehicle. Yes. I'm
Yeah.
just the vehicle. Yeah. God. Yeah. And I mean, I can't lie. Like it does. And as I've gotten further into the last 11 years, like I started out just very kind of methodical. Grow the kittens, give them back, grow the kittens, give them back.
Mhm.
And now it's more kind of like I think about the people that are going to adopt them. Like who are they going to? Like how can I make them the perfect pet for someone else, right?
Mhm.
Like how can I make sure that they
Right.
can they can handle having their claws trimmed, and they will use the litter box and they will play with the toys. Like I try to grow them into the perfect pet for someone else.
So that actually does give us a topic real quick. Like the idea, so you spend time socializing them and helping them learn not just cat skills, but people cat skills, like
Yes. Yeah.
how to interact.
Yeah, and so my mom passed away in 2021, and but my dad had these two dogs, freaking Hal and Trooper. They were disasters. They were a nightmare. They were the worst. But I would take these kittens. I would have a litter of four or five, right? And I'd be like, okay, when I bring them back to the shelter, I want to be able to say, hey, like A and B are great with dogs, C and D are not. So
Mm.
I would use my parents' dogs as these little
Right.
trials, right? Like, okay,
Yeah,
let's see what's happening. And you know what's
that's
so
really cool.
funny is every single time I was like, A and B are going to kill it. They're going to be amazing. C and D are going to freak out. And it was always the opposite. It was always the opposite. The ones that I thought were going to be confident, like cowered in the little carrier, and the ones that I thought were going to be scared were the ones like chasing after the dogs and like having a great time. And so people a lot of times I really, really try to reach out to the community beforehand and say, hey, come to the kitten room and meet them here.
Hmm.
Meet them where they're comfortable, because in a shelter, in a cage, they're going to be different,
Hmm.
right? They're going to be scared. There's going to be too many noises, too many smells, too much going on. And I'm like, but you will never get an idea of what they're like until you see them when they're comfortable.
Hmm.
And so I've tried over the past like 3 or 4 years to really invite people to my kitten room to see them as they are, because when you adopt a pet from a shelter, you have an idea maybe, but you don't know what they're really going to be like until you get them home and you get them to their home,
Right.
yeah.
Um,
So, and I've been lucky, like thanks to Imgur, like I've had, I think 7 or 8 kittens that have been adopted from people specifically from Imgur, and I never get to see them grow up, right? Like I have them until they're 3 months, and then I give them away and I never see them again. But there are a few, there's about 7 or 8 that they still send me videos and pictures, and they get so fat. Why do you let your cats get so fat? No, they're supposed to be skinny. But yeah, like recently I had Jasmine, she lost her eye, and she got adopted by a woman who works on the same arsenal that I do. And we message each other every day. And she sends me pictures and she's like, hey, this is what she's up to. This is what's great. And then the woman who adopted Sweet Potato in Boston sends me video. She sent me a video today. And Sweet Potato is so big and she's so fluffy and she's so long. And like, I never get to see that. And thanks to Imgur, like, thanks to this community that like wants to keep in touch, they want to keep that relationship going. I just feel so blessed. Like, I really do. It's so great.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. That's really cool. Um,
Yeah.
is there anything like if somebody were to see what you do and think, hey, wow, this is a really cool idea. I'm going to set up a kitten room and do all that stuff. Is there any
Please don't ask for advice. Are
oh,
you going to
I was
ask
going
for
to say, actually, I
advice?
was going to suggest,
Oh,
is there anything they shouldn't do?
oh, shouldn't do.
Mhm.
Okay. Ooh, yeah. No, I get,
Something you could warn them about that
yeah, no. So I get a lot of advice questions. And so I wrote like a 7 page, like, this is how you foster kittens, right?
if you
Because
send that to me, I will put that in with this
absolutely I will. Yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'll send that to you. Things they should not do. Oh God, that's a good question. You should not put them you should not put them directly into your home, because literally the very first litter of kittens that I had were the witches and wizards, and there were 7 of them, and I put them into my home. They were in my living room, they were in my kitchen. They had all these
Mm.
scars on their faces from living on the streets, right? Like all these little scars. Turns out those scars were ringworm, and they were infecting my entire house.
Yeah.
So I had to rip up all the carpets, throw away the couch, the cat trees, the rugs. I had to get someone to come in to clean and disinfect the air ducts. And
Mm.
so, number one thing is have some place to quarantine them. Like
Mhm.
you have to have some place to quarantine them, because that was several thousands of dollars worth of
Right.
things I had to change. But And this sounds terrible. I would say don't get too attached,
Mm,
right? Like you have your job as a foster parent is to grow them into a wonderful pet and then give them away.
mm-hmm.
And so many people, they just can't do it. They just get so attached.
Yeah.
And, you have to, the first year that I dropped the kittens off at the shelter, I sat in my car and I cried. And I was like, I was devastated. And
Mm-hmm.
I was not okay with the situation. And I thought about quitting. But yeah, your job is to make this animal into the perfect animal for someone else, and that is a really hard thing to wrap your head around, right? Is that you're going to make them love you, and you're going to love them, and then you're going to give them away,
Mm-hmm.
and that's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, do you have pets? You said you have pets, right?
We did. So we Sophie just passed towards the end of last year, and we still, when we got her, we it was before we were really touring as much as we do. And so we had actually kind of put together an infrastructure of friends that could come and spend the night every other day or whatever,
Yeah.
uh, just so that somebody would be here for her and just wasn't left alone. But now we still tour enough that like now we know that, so
Yeah.
we are catless until that stops being a thing, which is it's definitely very rough for my wife. Like
Yeah.
that little animal was her familiar, and I'm very glad she got a ring that has her ashes in it that she can take with her all the time. And I made her a necklace with Jack's years ago. But
That is so sweet.
it's
Yeah, I
it
just
it requires pushing back against every husband instinct of just wanting to go and get another cat and just be like,
yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
be happy.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I just I got my first tattoo I got it February like 17th, and it was a paw print. It was from my cat Thomas, who was listen, people say this, but he was the most perfect cat in the whole entire world.
Oh
Like
yeah.
people who hate cats love Thomas. And he was like you said, familiar. He was my familiar. Like
Hmm.
he was my comfort and my home, and then to lose him was terrible, so I finally got like a little tattoo on there, so yeah.
Let me actually show you a painting that I did that was kind of inspired by the whole cat familiar thing.
Yeah, of course.
We both do a lot of horror-based art, and we're fans of body horror.
Trying to
So
show mama
it
a
was
little
kind
bit.
of this idea where Donna was always like, "I'm going to get Sophie, and I'm going to sew her to be part of my
Oh
body,
my
so she can live forever as
god.
part of me."
Oh
Um,
my god, was she hairless?
Sophie was hairless.
She was a hairless cat. Oh my god, so you know about that.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That is amazing.
that one, and then I wonder if I can get it. We got a friend over. I'll be right back.
Yeah, yeah, do it. I'll just show mama, because mama is again ripping up the towel. We have this super soft towel right here, but she is preferring to rip up the
Yeah,
scratchy
and
towels.
then after she passed, this was the
Oh, you said you like to make them like historical figures, right?
yeah, and a
Yeah.
friend of ours actually did that with some sort of app, and Donna was like, "No, that's the painting I want." I was like,
I
"Okay."
love it. That is amazing.
So, and I'm very pleased by it because everybody who sees like, "That's her. That actually looks like Sophie. It doesn't look like just a cat." You know, no, that was, and it does get her whole royalness.
Yeah, no, I see it. I
Really
feel
good,
it.
really
And
good.
that was awesome. And I have people message me. I'm not going to say all the time, but a lot of people who do pet portraits message me. They're like, "Hey, do you want me to paint your pet?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I've done a couple of them, and I just they never capture. They never capture, and I hope that they're not. I hope they're not watching this, but
It's
like
hard to
there's
do it, I think, if you don't know the animal. Like there are
yes,
always just little like you can get the image right.
yeah,
There are just little. There's always just these little things, little
the
quirks.
spirit.
Yeah,
It's the
that's
spirit.
difficult to get.
Yeah, yeah. Um, But yeah, so anyway, this was so much fun.
Yes, it was. Thank you so much for doing this. And uh, I don't know if you want to let people know where to find your Amazon wish list, but since this is a kind of a public, okay, cool.
Yeah, it's
But
fine.
you
I'm
can be
good.
found
I
on
don't need
Imgur,
anything. Yeah.
Kittens for Days.
Yes,
I
yeah. I
guess
have it on my profile or whatever, but I don't need anything. Like
mhm.
I don't want to ask for things when I
Right,
don't need
right.
them. So yeah.
Well, that was
But
just
thank you.
no, that's absolutely that's wonderful though. Good, good, good. All right, I'm kind of going through my mental list if there's anything else I need to.
There's like yeah, you have to like wrap up the show. Like
Yeah, but
what is left?
well, I because yeah, this whole thing was kind of a something I'd been thinking about, but I tried. I have to make it reasonable for myself, and that's why I only have one question, and then just let it happen because I don't have to do a bunch of research on this other stuff because I have to do. So yeah, and also I'm just kind of a flake because of the ADD. But
I know, I'm with you. I'm
yeah.
on Adderall as well. A little OCD. I have to go wash my hands right now.
So all right, well I will let you go. Thank you so much. This should go. I really am hoping to get this. I've got like I said, I've got two more now, and then I just have to go back and do some little editing things, and so hopefully I'll get it out by around the end of the month, and I'll let you know when that happens.
Are you gonna put it like on Imager? Like
Yeah,
I'm
well, I can't put the whole thing because of the time limit, but I will
yeah.
definitely make posts about it, and
Oh
uh,
God.
I don't have to.
I don't know. Like I enjoy my anonymity like on
Mhm.
Imager, but I also appreciate that you have a job and that you have a podcast and that you like to share stuff with people. But I kind of enjoy just kind of like
I could
being
blur
the
you.
voice. Yeah, like what'd you say?
I could blur you.
Oh, yeah, that'd be good.
Hmm.
Yeah. I kind of just like to be the voice behind the camera. Like
I'm
I
I'm
want the kittens to shine.
yeah.
Like that's the
No,
whole
I
point.
am more than happy to do. I can blur you. I can block out the name down there,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that'd be good. Yeah, I don't want this to be about me. I want it to be about the kittens, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I'm more than happy.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, and great. Okay, cool. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you
Yay.
so much, and I will let you know when it's ready, and I can send it to you, and so you can see that yeah, it's all blurred.
Yeah, I would love that. What time is it? How long has this been?
Oh, yeah, a little bit over an hour.
Oh, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you gonna do for the rest of the night?
What do I do?
What's on your plan?
I'm working on music. I'm in the middle of. I'm working on music, and Ego Likeness is getting ready to. We're at the beginning of tour season, so I've got we've got a couple shows coming up, and then we'll be back, and then we've got a big run out to Seattle and back, and then my solo band is dropping a new record towards the end of the year, so I've got to plan all that shit out. And
Okay,
Donna,
so we're done with me. Like, tell me about you a little bit.
what
Like,
about
what do
me?
you do?
Oh,
Are you like a guitarist or like a
uh, I,
songwriter? Like, what do you do?
I'm an artist. I don't think about. I play guitar live because it's something I can jump around with and make noise with. But more than anything, I'm a studio guy.
Okay.
So I love performing live. I love singing. And I my whole trip is sound and atmosphere. That's kind of the thing is like trying to I write a lot of music that end up being the songs end up being kind of short stories or whatever. Um,
Okay.
and I've done myriad different types. Ego is female fronted dark electronic rock. So like if you like it's kind of like Stevie Nicks meets like Nine Inch Nails or a Mack Truck, you know.
Oh, cool.
It's she's a
Yeah.
phenomenal singer. She went to school for opera, but it's not operatic vocals. So it's very strong Pat Benatar sort of stuff. Very atmospheric. And then my band Stoneburner is industrial, very much about noise and soundscapes. Sometimes it's about Half Mile High Wolves. This is a novel that I wrote, or a graphic
Oh,
novel
cool.
that was based on a record that I did called Red and Tooth and Claw about a kaiju wolf and his mate that end up destroying a good chunk of the United States for a good reason. Well, not for a good reason, but it's an understandable reason. Beyond that, yeah, I do a lot of painting. Wife does all the poetry. Um, I I've done that. I did an art graphic novel of Masque with Red Death. worked for NASA for that song.
You work for NASA. Oh my
Well, I
God.
got commissioned. I got commissioned by NASA
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
so I don't know if you know. Recently, Osiris Rex came back, which was so we sent this satellite out to an asteroid called Bennu, took samples from it, and then brought it back. First time we've ever done that as humans. Uh,
Okay.
I wrote the music for the video that showed that to the world. So it's been seen like millions and millions.
That is so cool.
And
Does
then
it
it went
have a
to space
name?
actually, which was cool. So
Does it have a name or it's
yeah,
just
if you look
music?
up Bennu, Bennu's
How do you
Journey,
spell that?
Bennu.
Bennu. Okay.
Yeah.
Bennu.
Or if you just look up Stephen Archer NASA, that'll probably pop up too. But
Okay.
so I did that. Like I said, I did a video for Alan Parsons. So that was very cool. I got to meet the guy, which was neat. And
So like if you could do one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I can't do it.
It's too many
Also,
things.
it's all the same thing, really, for me. Like it's just
Just
different
art.
mediums. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
different mediums. It's like when I started, I went to school for fine art, but when I started doing the music, at first I was like, well, I don't know how this is going to work out, and I just realized I was like, oh, it's exactly the same thing. It's just different tools.
Sure.
So like, uh, I had a leg up because I was like, oh, well, I already know how to self-critique. I already know how to kind of say this is where I'm trying to get to with this.
Yeah.
But then it's just learning the tricks.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'm incredibly fortunate, and hopefully, things won't get destroyed, and I'll be able to continue doing it because
Yeah.
when lockdown happened, and then this, I was like, there were both those times where I was like, I'm really really glad I'm not part of the real world. I can move kind of parasitically to the side
Yeah.
of it and take small little things off of it.
Yeah.
But at least all of my resources, all of the stuff that I need is here. It's in me, and so I don't have to have that infrastructure in order to make money. I just have to be able to do the thing and put the work in.
Okay, so I have a question. How much work is your hair? Because I see
Very
braids,
little.
I see locks. Like, I
Well,
mean,
these are just really long locks. I just braided them because it
oh,
was
okay.
long after a certain point. And I've had my hair like this for probably 30 years. And
30 years. Oh my God.
yeah, I was a bike courier many, many, many years ago, and it kind of happened on its own.
I can see that. I can
And
see you as a bike courier.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for
And
sure.
then for many years it was black and blue or black and pink, and uh, dyeing my hair on.
And now it's just blonde.
It's just gray. It's all gray.
Oh, is that gray?
Gray, yeah, it's all gray and black. Yeah. And it's just a great deal of research on figuring out how to make it sideways. But
No, I love it.
it does its thing. It's kind of for me. It's like Flava Flav's clock. Like it's the thing
Don't.
that people know you by. I'll go to a show and some people are like, oh yeah, I saw your shadow on the wall. I knew you were here.
We saw the hair. Yeah.
So
Oh, it's cool.
yeah.
Well, hey, thank you so much. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate
Thank
this.
you.
Yeah, if you would blur me and
Mhm.
my name, I mean, like I said, I want it to be about the kittens and not me. So,
Yeah, no, I'm more than happy to. I'm more than happy to.
okay.
Um,
All right, thank you. Well,
I want
hey,
to find out if you how to get those little avatars. Because if I could figure out a way to get one of those cat avatars to talk for you,
yes. Oh my
but I don't
God.
know how it works. So
So
I'll
you
figure
don't
out
have
something.
like Teams, do you? Like the
No, like
Microsoft
this was my
Teams?
first doing this was my first foray into
Okay.
Zoom.
Because Teams, you have to have like an avatar or it's your like initials. And I chose one of my foster kittens from like 10 years ago. Her name was Juniper. I called her Junebug. And she was like this little calico and she had this one like black eye, look like a moo cow.
Mhm.
And she is my avatar. And everyone's always like, oh my God, that's such a cute cat. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Like it's Juniper. So people like the entire government knows me as this little cat named Juniper. And
That's
it
awesome.
makes me really happy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank
Anyway,
you so much.
yes. Have a good night. It
You
was so
too.
nice to meet
The Milky Way, home to billions of stars, rising and setting over billions of worlds, including our own. In this vast expanse, how did our sun, the Earth, and the planets come to be? In recent decades, our understanding of the solar system's evolution has greatly improved, but deep questions remain. To answer those questions, astronomers are preparing to visit someplace very small. Asteroid Bennu. A lump of rock and organic material, the early building blocks of the solar system, of Earth, of us. Bennu is a time capsule, and its journey takes us way, way back, 4.5 billion years. The raw ingredients of Bennu and our solar system originated in a stellar nursery, a vast cloud of hydrogen, helium, and dust. Our own sun doesn't yet exist. Nearby are hot stars like this one, quickly burning up its fuel and destroying itself in a colossal explosion called a supernova. The explosion destabilizes our cloud, causing it to collapse. In the geologic blink of an eye, 100,000 years, gravity and angular momentum flatten the cloud into a swirling disk. In the center, where molecules crash together tightest, a protostar revs up to incredible pressures and temperatures. Deep within the disk, clumps of dust not much larger than a grain of wheat are flash heated into droplets of molten rock, called chondrules. The source of this heat remains a mystery. Chondrules are destined to become the building blocks of the solar system. Coaxed by gravity and turbulence, the chondrules clump. They grow into the first asteroids, into mountains, into planets. The asteroids are rubble piles of rock, metal, ice, and organics. This large asteroid is the parent body of Bennu, a protoplanet whose size we can only guess. Closer to the protostar, a planet begins to form. And then, dawn in the solar system. The protostar undergoes fusion and ignites, revealing our sun. But the solar system is far from finished. Jupiter most likely forms near its outer edge, but just 500 million years after the sun ignites, some believe that it slowly moves inward. Its massive gravity ripples the asteroid belt, disrupting countless asteroids and comets, flinging them toward the sun. They rain down on the inner planets, hammering and remelting large portions of their crust. Did these impacts also deliver organics and water, key ingredients for life? Back in the asteroid belt, Bennu's parent body is lucky. It survives this period of heavy bombardment. The solar system cools and calms. Jupiter and its many moons assume the orbits that we see today. Billions of years of quiet follow, more or less. Then 1 billion years ago, one theory suggests a collision shatters the protoplanet. Some of the debris loosely coalesces into a new, smaller body, Bennu. But Bennu will not stay in place. Dull, non-reflective, it slowly migrates toward the sun. Solar heating turns its warm side into a low-intensity thruster. Through millions of years, Bennu's orbit gradually tightens until it interacts with Saturn's gravity, altering its trajectory and hurling it into the inner solar system. Close encounters with Earth and Venus follow. Their gravitational tugs may have repeatedly stretched and reformed Bennu, turning it inside out and pulling off loose material. As a result, it has no satellites of its own, until now. Today, NASA is sending a spacecraft called OSIRIS-REx to explore Bennu and retrieve a sample. Why? Bennu has survived its long journey and settled into a near-Earth orbit, bringing its secrets within our reach. Now it is ready to teach us more about the solar system's history, its formation, its evolution, and our own place among the stars.